Welcome. The universe has a way of whispering secrets to those who are brave enough to listen. Interestingly, your enemies heard these whispers first, and now they cannot unhear them. You might find this strange, but sometimes those who plot against you are the first ones to truly see who you are, long before you realize it yourself. While you were busy doubting your own worth, they caught a glimpse of your true power, perhaps through a fleeting dream, a sudden moment of intuition, or even a supernatural vision. And here's the kicker. That vision didn't just frighten them, it shook them to their very core. Did you know that fear triggers the same part of the brain as awe? That's right. Your enemies aren't merely scared, they're starstruck. But instead of admiration, they're caught in a vicious loop of panic, desperately wondering how to stop a force they never saw coming. Spoiler alert, they can't. So buckle up, chosen ones, because we're about to dive deep into the real reasons why their fear isn't just paranoia, it's prophecy. The way they've been scrambling, you'd think they were auditioning for the next season of Running Scared. Let's explore why you haunt their waking thoughts and invade their dreams. First, your energy exposes their deepest weaknesses. Your very presence is like a mirror they never wanted to look into but now cannot avoid. When they had that vision of you, whether in a dream or through some sudden, inexplicable moment of clarity, they didn't just see you, they saw themselves reflected back in stark contrast. And what they saw wasn't pretty. They were confronted with their own insecurities, their lack of strength, their absence of purpose, and their inauthenticity. It's not your success that terrifies them. It's the undeniable truth that their manipulations, schemes, and shortcuts can never compare to the raw power you possess naturally. They've spent their entire lives hiding behind masks, constructing illusions to feel superior, but you show up just as you are, unpolished, authentic, and unshakable. Your energy doesn't need to compete with theirs, it simply is. In your presence, their weaknesses can no longer hide. You've taken away their comfort zone by being incomparable. That's why they can't stop thinking about you, even if they try to pretend otherwise. Your power exposes them, but you're not trying to expose them. It's just the natural consequence of you stepping into your truth. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. You didn't set out to disturb them, but now they're frantically scrambling to cover up what's been revealed. Deep down, they know the truth. It's not you they hate. It's the reflection of their own flaws they can no longer escape. And instead of doing the hard work of confronting their own cracks, they've convinced themselves that breaking your mirror will somehow make them whole. It won't, of course. They know this too, which is why their obsession with you continues to grow. Second, they tried to bind you before you even knew who you were. Long before you found your footing, your enemies saw the glimpses of your potential, and it terrified them. They didn't wait for you to realize your own power. They tried to stifle it at the root. Every doubt they planted in your mind, every obstacle they put in your path wasn't by chance, it was a calculated move. They could see where you were headed, even when you couldn't. They knew that your rise would threaten their position, so they worked in the shadows to hold you back, planting seeds of confusion and self-doubt in the hopes you'd never figure out who you were meant to be. For a while, it may have worked. You may have second-guessed yourself, taken some wrong turns, or settled for less than what you deserved. But here's the thing, they underestimated you. They thought their whispers of doubt would drown out the voice inside you, the one that kept pushing you forward. They tried to bind you when you were still learning to walk, never realizing that you'd grow wings. Their biggest mistake was acting too soon, revealing their hand before you'd even picked up yours. And now, with clarity, you see it all. Their actions weren't about power, they were driven by panic. Now that you've stepped fully into who you are, their vision of you has turned into their worst nightmare. You are everything they tried to stop, and there's no going back for them now. They saw who you were long before you did, but they forgot one crucial thing. Visions don't change destiny. They confirm it. Third, their fear isn't personal. It's ancestral. This fear that they feel runs deeper than anything you've said or done. It's generational. They're not just reacting to you as an individual. They are responding to the energy of generations that live within you. Your very existence carries the weight of battles fought long before you were born, victories earned, and a legacy of resilience that refuses to be silenced. Whether they understand it or not, they feel it. That's why their reaction to you is so intense. It's not just about you, it's about what you represent. When they saw you in that vision, they didn't just see one person, they saw a force, a movement, one that has been building over lifetimes. They saw the strength of those who came before you, those who survived, those who refused to give up no matter the odds. And now all that power flows through you, making you an unstoppable force. Your rise challenges everything they've built their lives upon. They have benefited from systems designed to suppress people like you, systems that fear legacy, lineage, and unshakable purpose. And now, here you are, carrying that very history with every step you take. It's overwhelming for them because they know they're not just dealing with one individual, they are up against an entire legacy. The vision wasn't just about your future, it was about the echoes of your past. What they saw wasn't just potential, it was momentum, and that momentum terrifies them because it can't be stopped. You are not just a person, you are a movement, and they've always known it. Now they're watching it unfold, and it's more than they can handle. Finally, they're not just dreaming about you, they're having nightmares. Their visions of you are not filled with admiration or curiosity. They are drenched in fear. It's not your light that haunts them. It's the shadow it casts over everything they've built. Every step you take forward is a step closer to the unraveling of their carefully constructed lies. They don't see your success as something to be inspired by. They see it as a death sentence for their power, their control, and their illusions. Your rise exposes the shaky foundations they've been standing on. They've spent their lives constructing an identity around being untouchable, manipulating others, and keeping the upper hand. But with every step you take, their control slips further away. It's not just envy they feel. It's a deep, gut-wrenching fear. Deep down, they know the truth. They were never as strong as they pretended to be. You don't even have to be in the same room for this fear to creep in. You live in their thoughts constantly, not as a distant memory, but as a looming warning. Their visions of you aren't dreams, they're nightmares. They are plagued by the image of you surpassing every limit they tried to set for you, dismantling every system they relied on to keep you and others like you suppressed. They know they can't stop what's coming. And that, more than anything, is what haunts them the most. The truth is undeniable. You are not just rising. You are rewriting the entire story. In your version, they fail, not because they want to, but because they simply cannot help themselves. You are their reckoning, the irrefutable proof that their time has expired. Your success, your growth, and your power are not just reminders of their inability to control you. They are their nightmares come true. It's not merely the thought of you winning that haunts them. It is the fear of them being finally exposed for what they truly are. Their fragile power, built on lies and deceit, crumbles in the face of your unyielding truth. They tried to mark you, to diminish your light, to poison your spirit with their negativity and doubts. But every single attempt backfired spectacularly. Their curses, their attempts to sow failure and ruin, only served to polish you. Each move they made to break you only ended up amplifying your strength. The weight of their bad intentions was transformed into a foundation for your rise. They never understood that you were never meant to break. Beneath their hostility was an energy that could not be extinguished, but only magnified. Every negative word they spoke, every insult they hurled your way, served to highlight the very qualities they feared. Your perseverance, your wisdom, and your unshakable resolve. What they didn't anticipate was that their attacks would not isolate you but connect you more deeply to the people who needed your light the most. It's ironic, really. The very forces they unleashed to drive you into darkness became the very catalysts that spread your light across the world. Their energy, intended to harm, only transformed into a megaphone broadcasting your essence to those searching for hope, strength, and guidance. They failed to understand the profound truth. Energy cannot be destroyed. It only transforms. Every curse became a blessing, every obstacle a stepping stone. Instead of leaving scars, their attempts at marking you only served to reveal your true, untouchable nature. Now, instead of being diminished, you stand stronger than ever, more visible, more powerful. While they are left reeling in the aftermath of their own actions, you rise to a place they can never reach, untouched by the damage they tried to inflict. They see the blueprint, but they cannot comprehend the force behind it. Your enemies have caught fleeting glimpses of your potential, enough to realize you are destined for greatness. But they cannot fathom the source of your power. They see the outline of your success, the shape of what you're building, but they fail to grasp the foundation upon which it is built. They thought they could stop you by targeting what they could see, but they never understood that your power is not derived from external forces or fleeting circumstances. It comes from something far beyond their reach. They assumed that by disturbing your progress or creating obstacles, you would falter, but what they fail to see is that every interference only accelerates the divine plan unfolding behind the scenes. Every setback becomes an opportunity for you to sharpen your skills and grow stronger. The divine energy guiding you is not something they can control or comprehend. Their biggest mistake is underestimating the force that drives you, the divine force that no amount of manipulation or opposition can ever weaken. They may have seen the blueprint, but they failed to recognize that they are not fighting against you alone. They are fighting against something far greater. What truly terrifies them is your independence. You cannot be bought or controlled, and that is something they can neither comprehend nor tolerate. Your enemies have spent their lives perfecting the art of manipulation, using fear, promises of material rewards, or empty threats to bend others to their will. But when it comes to you, none of their usual tactics work. You stand untouchable in ways they cannot predict or explain. This is what drives them to madness. Their usual methods of control are powerless against your unwavering sense of self. They assumed that everyone could be coerced into compromise, that everyone has a price, but they were gravely mistaken. Your sense of purpose is internal. It does not depend on external validation, approval, or rewards. This makes you an enigma to them, a problem they cannot solve. They tried to dangle material rewards in front of you, hoping you would sacrifice your integrity for fleeting gain. They thought that fear could make you bend to their will, but they underestimated your courage. They believed that by threatening you, they could break you, but they were wrong. Your power comes not from the material world, but from something far deeper, something they cannot touch. This frustrates them because it strips away the control they thought they had over you. Every time they attempt to manipulate you, they reveal their desperation and their weakness. The truth, which they cannot bear to admit, is that the power they thought they held over you was an illusion, one they can never recover. What truly eats away at them is not just your power, but the purity behind it. It's not just that you've achieved success, but how you've achieved it. You didn't resort to deceit, manipulation, or shortcuts to get where you are today. Your power is rooted in authenticity, in walking a path defined by integrity. This is what truly haunts them, the realization that while they built their lives on lies, cutting corners and stepping on others to get ahead, you have risen without sacrificing your values. Every time they look at you, they are reminded of the compromises they have made, the masks they wear. They have convinced themselves that success requires sacrificing morality and truth, but your very existence shatters that belief. Your success proves that true power comes from within, from the authenticity of purpose, from remaining true to your principles even when the world tells you to conform. This is the power they cannot understand and will never possess. They are consumed with envy, not just for what you have achieved, but for how you achieved it. Your authenticity is a reflection of everything they are not. It is a mirror to their own compromises and deceit, and that is what makes you their greatest fear. Your strength doesn't merely discomfort them, it amplifies their insecurities. The way you carry yourself with ease, as though life hasn't hardened you the way it has them, becomes a mirror that highlights their own lack of authenticity. They resent you for your purity because it is a reminder of their own compromises. While they may have played the game, bending to the pressures of a world that constantly demands conformity, you didn't succumb. You faced hardship with unwavering resolve, not by avoiding it but by standing firm, untainted by the chaos around you. That's what truly sets you apart. Your authenticity is a silent rebellion against everything they stand for. You represent a living testament that real strength doesn't come from trampling others. It comes from staying true to yourself in a world that tries to erode your essence. What infuriates them the most is the fact that you have built something solid and unshakable without lowering yourself to their level. Your journey remains untarnished, and that bothers them deeply. They wanted to see cracks, flaws, and compromises in your path because it would justify their own choices, but your journey is clean. Your rise challenges their reality in a way they can't deny, and that's why they'll always envy you, not only for your achievements but for the very essence of who you are. They can't stand the purity of your power because it makes their own methods of manipulation seem insignificant. When they catch a glimpse of you, they don't just see you. They see the invisible forces at work behind you, the powerful network of support that has been quietly guiding you along the way. They see not only your allies but your spiritual protection, the ancestors, the guides, the silent army that has been walking with you since the beginning of your journey. These unseen forces are not just figments of imagination. They are the very bedrock upon which your success is built, and they can never touch them. The energy that surrounds you, whether they understand it or not, strikes a chord deep within them. They know they are vastly outnumbered. They may hold power in the physical world, but they cannot battle the forces that protect and propel you forward. The moment they see that, they understand something crucial. Their control is limited. While they may manipulate the tangible world, they are powerless in the face of the unseen forces that fortify your journey. These spiritual energies are not just abstract concepts. They are the foundation of your resilience. Each time they try to block your path, they're not just fighting you. They're battling an entire army that's been with you from the start, and that's a battle they will never win. Their power, in the end, is built on borrowed time. They may have manipulated situations, used fear, and held control through lies and deceit, but they never accounted for your rise. They never anticipated that someone like you would come along, someone who would expose the fragility of everything they had built. Your emergence into your full potential is like a wrecking ball to their carefully constructed house of cards. The foundation of their influence is crumbling, and they know it. They are in full panic mode, but there is nothing they can do to stop it. Their methods are wearing thin. The manipulation they relied on to maintain control is no longer working. People are beginning to wake up, seeing through the lies and false promises. The secrets they've hidden behind for so long no longer hold any weight. The truth is slowly catching up to them, and they are realizing too late that their dominance was never as secure as they thought. Now that you've stepped into your power, they are confronted with the harsh reality that their time was always limited. Your strength is the ticking clock, and with every moment that passes, they know they are closer to their reckoning. Your glow is not merely a light, it is a warning. Your energy does not attract your enemies out of admiration. They are drawn to you because they can sense the storm you bring with you. Even if they won't admit it to themselves, they feel the weight of your presence. It disrupts everything that is false, manipulative, and corrupt in their world. Your very existence shakes the foundation of what they've built, and that's why they can't look away. They thought they could hide in the shadows, controlling the narrative with fear and deceit. But your glow has cut through the darkness, leaving them exposed and vulnerable. What they fail to understand is that your radiance is not for them. You are not shining to be seen or acknowledged by those who would seek to undermine you. You shine because it is who you are. In doing so, you become a living contradiction to everything they stand for. You expose the rot, the deceit, and the corruption that has been hidden beneath their surface. And that, more than anything else, terrifies them. Your energy is not just radiant. It is a force of nature, untamable and undeniable. Can't be twisted to fit their narrative, and it can't be ignored. They know deep down that it's only a matter of time before everything they've built comes crumbling down under the weight of your light. There comes a moment in time when everything that others have tried to hide, deceive, or control will inevitably be exposed. As they draw closer to you, they no longer see someone who can be manipulated or swayed. Instead, they witness the imminent collapse of all that they have worked so hard to protect. Your presence is their reckoning, and no matter how much they try to resist, there is no escaping the truth. The illusions they carefully crafted to maintain control are dissolving, and your light is the force they can no longer deny. What they tried to conceal is coming to light, and it will change everything. Their attempts to control, to deceive, and to suppress you will only fuel your rise. They may have tried to manipulate the narrative, but they can no longer stop the inevitable, your power and your truth. The most crushing blow to their ego comes when they realize they are not the central figure in this story. For so long, they believed they were the ones pulling the strings, orchestrating events, manipulating your choices to suit their desires. They saw themselves as the architects of your fate, convinced that their actions controlled the trajectory of your journey. But the truth dawns on them like a harsh wave. They are not the protagonists of this story. They are mere side characters in a much larger narrative, one that never revolved around them in the first place. Your story was always yours to write, and they were just obstacles in your path. They are now forced to reckon with the painful realization that they have been playing a supporting role in a tale far greater than anything they ever imagined. The truth devastates them because it shatters everything they believed about their power. They thought they were in control because they could manipulate the situations and people around them, but the realization comes crashing down. They were never in control of you. You were never their puppet to control, and your journey was never defined by their actions. They were merely a brief chapter in a much larger book, one where they had no real influence. They thought they were the ones writing the story, but it was you all along who held the pen. And no matter how desperately they try to rewrite it, they cannot take the lead. You are the main character, and you always have been. The shift in perspective is too much for them to handle, and they know it is too late for them to change anything now. What truly devastates them is the fact that they feared your rise. They watched as you gained strength, as your power began to shine brighter and brighter, and yet, they never understood what truly fueled you. They believed they could control you, break you, stop you. But all they did was expose just how unstoppable you truly are. Every attempt they made to suppress you only led to your greater ascent. Their attacks became the very things that sharpened your resolve and illuminated your path forward. What they failed to see was that you were never bound by their tactics or by their limited worldview. You have always been supported by something greater, something they could never touch or control. Your glow isn't just a reflection of your success, but a symbol of their failure. It's a testament to the fact that their power was fleeting, and their efforts to keep you down only pushed you higher. You are now a force of nature, untouchable, authentic, unwavering in your purpose. As they watch you step into your full potential, they are left scrambling, their foundation crumbling beneath their feet. What they tried so desperately to suppress and hide has now been exposed. The reckoning they feared has arrived, and it's not your power that's destroying them. It's the sheer authenticity and truth of your existence. You have become more than just a beacon of light. You are now a beacon of freedom, of authenticity, and of unstoppable force. Their worst fear was that you would rise above them, and now that you have, they are forced to confront their own insignificance. They now see, with undeniable clarity, that they were never in control. This was always your story to tell, and it is just beginning. You are not merely watching the story unfold. You are the story. The journey has only just begun, and if you feel the power of these words, if you resonate with the undeniable truth behind them, then do not let this be the last time we connect. Subscribe to the channel now because this movement, this force of change, is only gaining momentum. We are here to break barriers, to expose the illusions, and to ignite that unstoppable force within you. Don't miss the next chapter of this journey. Join the movement and let's rise together. This is not just about watching something unfold. It's about being a part of something legendary. Subscribe, join the revolution, and let's continue to rise, evolve, and break through the limits they tried to set for us. Together, we will make this journey unforgettable. Welcome the chosen ones, those who understand that true victory lies not in the frantic chaos of a dirty game, but in the elegance of a smarter play. The misguided believe that success comes from loud, reckless actions, but history only remembers those who operate with wisdom and strategy. The noise of the world fades quickly, but the quiet brilliance of a well-executed plan echoes for generations. Your enemies were so absorbed in their desperate attempts to undermine you, they never saw the fortress you were quietly constructing while they scrambled to throw stones at you. And let's be real. There's something undeniably satisfying about watching someone's ill-thought-out schemes unravel under the weight of their own desperation. It's like finding forgotten fries at the bottom of your bag after a long day. They thought you would stoop to their level, become entangled in their petty traps, or fall into their carefully laid snares. But here's the twist. You played the long game. You didn't need shortcuts, manipulation, or underhanded tactics. What you relied on was focus, patience, and a masterful strategy. Tools that many fail to appreciate. While they rushed for quick wins, you studied the landscape, understood their patterns, and waited for the perfect moment. You outlasted them because you understood that true success isn't found in instant gratification, but in consistent, deliberate action. By the time they realized they were out of their depth, you had already moved far beyond their reach. This isn't just about winning. It's about proving that integrity and intelligence are always the ultimate weapons. They played dirty, but you played smarter. Now, as they scramble to understand how you pulled off the ultimate checkmate, let's break down the brilliance of your strategy. First, you saw their moves before they even made them. It wasn't luck or guesswork that gave you an edge. It was deep, strategic thinking. Every action they took, every word they spoke, gave you clues about their intentions. You weren't just reacting to their moves, you were anticipating them. You understood how they operated, how their desperation created patterns that you could exploit. While they were fixated on quick wins, you focused on the bigger picture, studying the entire board. Every step they took, every tactic they employed, was simply setting them up for their own downfall. Their short-sightedness made them vulnerable, and your ability to wait patiently and strategically allowed you to build something they could never touch: momentum. By the time they noticed their own mistakes, it was already too late. You were already miles ahead. Second, their schemes exposed their weaknesses. Every underhanded tactic they employed was not just an attack on you, it was an admission of their own vulnerabilities. Every lie, every betrayal, every false move they made gave you a roadmap to their destruction. You didn't need to confront them directly, because they were doing all the heavy lifting for you. They revealed their fears, their insecurities, and their lack of true strength with every desperate attempt to trip you up. You didn't need to stoop to their level to defeat them, because they did the job for you. As they made their moves, you collected clues like puzzle pieces, patiently observing their flaws, knowing that their reckless behavior would eventually lead to their undoing. They were playing a game of power, but they were the ones exposing their weaknesses, while you stood untouched, letting their own actions backfire. Third, they burned bridges while you built them. In their frantic pursuit of power, they alienated the very people who could have helped them. Every betrayal, every selfish move, every ill-conceived strategy cost them relationships and alliances that were crucial for their survival. They didn't understand that real power isn't about dominating others. It's about connection. While they played their cutthroat games, you were busy fostering genuine relationships based on trust, respect, and collaboration. These weren't just transactional alliances, they were real bonds built on mutual support, creating a foundation that they could never infiltrate or destroy. As they isolated themselves, you thrived in the network you had created, surrounded by allies who genuinely believed in you. Meanwhile, their world began to crumble. The bridges they had burned leaving them stranded and isolated, while yours led to a future filled with endless possibilities. Lastly, you turned their chaos into your advantage. They came at you with everything they had: distractions, confusion, and disorder, designed to throw you off course. But instead of crumbling under the pressure, you turned their chaos into fuel for your success. Each attempt to destabilize you became an opportunity to adapt, learn, and grow stronger. While they created a storm, you saw the calm at its center, using their disorder to sharpen your resilience. They underestimated your ability to thrive under pressure, and that miscalculation cost them everything. What they saw as chaos, you saw as clarity. Their unpredictable behavior only helped you develop the discipline, focus, and resourcefulness to rise above them. In the end, your victory wasn't just about outsmarting your opponents. It was about transcending their limitations, showing that the true power lies not in manipulation or brute force, but in strategy, integrity, and patience. You didn't need to sink to their level to win. You simply played the smarter game, and that made all the difference. Instead of succumbing to impulsive reactions, you chose a path of calm reflection and strategic thinking. You took a step back, analyzed the situation from every angle, and found ways to turn the obstacles they created into opportunities for your personal growth. Each challenge they threw at you became a stepping stone that elevated you further. Ironically, Their attempts to break you only made you unbreakable. The more they tried to disrupt your plans, the more adaptable and determined you became, and while they spiraled deeper into chaos, you found the art of remaining grounded. They were left confused and frustrated, wondering why nothing they did seemed to work. The truth was, their chaos wasn't a threat to you. It was a gift. Pushed you to rise above the noise, to maintain your focus, and to keep moving forward regardless of the distractions. In the end, their efforts to derail you only forged your strength, making you more prepared, more resilient, and utterly unstoppable. They wanted war, but you chose strategy. Their eagerness for conflict was rooted in a need to draw you into their chaos, where manipulation, drama, and aggression were their weapons of choice. They thought that by provoking you, they could throw you off balance and use your reactions as ammunition against you. What they didn't anticipate was your refusal to engage in their emotional warfare. Instead of diving headfirst into their mess, you remained composed and strategic, turning their aggression into a waste of energy. You understood that engaging with them on their terms would only legitimize their toxic tactics and divert your focus from your ultimate goals. So, you remained calm, calculated, and methodical. Each move you made was deliberate, dismantling their plans step by step, while they wore themselves out with futile attacks. You understood the power of restraint, and by refusing to take part in their battles, you forced them to overplay their hand. They wasted precious time and resources trying to provoke you, exposing their own vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, you kept building, growing, and advancing, turning their attempts to control the narrative into an exhibition of desperation. In the end, your strategy proved far more powerful than their chaotic conflict. While they were consumed by the need to fight, you stayed focused on winning, and when the dust settled, it was clear. Their war had been nothing more than a distraction, while your strategy was the true force that mattered. You chose growth, not revenge. While they obsessed over ways to tear you down and plot your downfall, you kept your eyes on something much more significant: growth. You knew that revenge would only keep you trapped in their toxic cycle, so you directed your energy inward, focusing on self-improvement instead. Every insult, every underhanded move they made became fuel, but not for retaliation. You used it as motivation to grow stronger, to sharpen your skills, deepen your knowledge, and fortify your resolve. They underestimated your ability to rise above their petty tactics. While they wasted time scheming and plotting, you quietly built the life you always wanted. Every step forward you took made their efforts increasingly irrelevant. Revenge would have brought them temporary satisfaction, but growth brought you permanent elevation. Their obsession with you became their own distraction, blinding them to the fact that you were playing a completely different game. You weren't consumed by thoughts of getting even. Instead, you focused on mastering your craft, seizing new opportunities, and creating a life they could only envy from a distance. By the time they realized what was happening, it was already too late. You had moved beyond their reach, leaving them stuck in their old ways while you thrived in your new reality. The ultimate irony was that the very energy they invested in trying to stop you became the force that propelled you forward. Their negativity fueled your motivation, and their attempts to break you only made you stronger. In the end, the best revenge wasn't revenge at all. It was success, and while they remained mired in their small, petty world, you grew into someone they could neither reach, nor match, nor stop. That is the true power of choosing growth over vengeance. They grossly underestimated your ability to adapt. They thought they had you figured out, believing their strategy was flawless because they assumed you would react predictably. They thought you would fall into their traps or crumble under pressure. What they never counted on was your incredible ability to adapt. Flexibility became your secret weapon, and it left them scrambling to keep up. While their carefully laid plans fell apart, your tactics evolved with every new challenge. Each curveball they threw your way was an opportunity for you to refine your approach, outmaneuvering them at every turn. While they repeated the same old moves, you stayed 2 steps ahead, always ready to pivot and adjust to any situation. Your foresight was their undoing, as you anticipated their every move, not because of luck, but because you understood their patterns. They relied on assumptions, thinking you would panic or play by their rules, but you shattered their expectations at every turn. Your ability to adapt made you unpredictable, and this unpredictability turned their confidence into frustration. What truly threw them off was how smoothly you handled challenges that they believed would break you. They underestimated your ability to stay calm under pressure, to learn quickly, and to find solutions they never saw coming. Their rigid tactics, once so precise, became irrelevant in the face of your resilience. By the time they realized they couldn't box you in, it was too late. Their fixed approach left them unable to grow, while your adaptability allowed you to thrive. They wanted you to be predictable, but you became unstoppable, and as they scrambled to adjust, they found themselves outmatched, outpaced, and completely out of their depth. You let their own actions expose them. There was no need for you to retaliate or lower yourself to their level. Their actions spoke louder than any words ever could. Every dirty play they made, every underhanded move they tried to execute, became a window into their true character. They thought they could operate in the shadows, but you knew the light would always reveal them for what they really were. Instead of getting caught up in their petty drama or stooping to their level, you let them expose themselves for who they truly were. Their behavior did all the talking for you. Every attempt they made to tear you down only served to highlight their desperation, their dishonesty, and their lack of integrity. What they didn't realize was that people were watching, and actions always speak louder than words. Their dirty games were ultimately their own undoing, unraveling everything they had tried to build on falsehoods. The more they manipulated, deceived, and created chaos, the more apparent it became that their foundation was built on nothing solid. You didn't need to play the villain in their story. They were doing a perfect job of exposing themselves. By the time others saw their true colors, they were already isolated, alienated, and left standing alone. You didn't have to do a thing to tear them down. They did that all by themselves. Your strength was in letting them reveal their own flaws while you quietly kept building, focused on your own journey to success. Your strength, your unwavering pursuit of growth, and your resilience have been your greatest weapons. The irony of it all is that the more they tried to attack you, the more they undermined their own credibility and integrity. With each attempt to break you, they not only failed, they inadvertently revealed the fragility of their own position. Number 9, they miscalculated something crucial, your strength of character. They believed that pressure, deceit, and betrayal would push you into submission, that they could chip away at your resolve. But what they underestimated was the very foundation you stand on. They couldn't fathom how deeply rooted your values were, nor could they comprehend the strength born from your principles. While they relied on manipulation, you chose to remain resolute. Where they expected you to crumble, you stood tall, unshaken by their tactics. Every challenge they threw your way became another opportunity for you to demonstrate the power of your inner strength. The more they tried to bring you down, the higher you rose. Their attempts to tear you apart were nothing more than stepping stones that you used to elevate yourself, not signs of defeat. Your character is not something they can alter or destroy. It is built on the solid rock of self-belief and righteousness. No external force, no matter how powerful, could shake your resolve. In fact, with each attack, your resolve only grew stronger. As they scrambled to maintain their control, they were unwittingly unraveling their own foundation. By the time they realized their tactics were ineffective, they were already caught in a web of their own making. Your ability to stay grounded and to refuse to compromise your values became the very thing that defeated them. In the end, it wasn't your strength that faltered, but theirs. Their own efforts to manipulate and weaken you ended up exposing their weakness, leaving you standing stronger and more determined than ever. Number 10, they thought they understood what it meant to win, but their vision was limited. To them, winning was all about domination, about breaking others down and using power to control the narrative. They believed that success meant forcing their way to the top, no matter the cost or the damage done along the way. But what they failed to see was that true victory isn't just about reaching the top. It's about how you climb there. You redefined victory. For you, it was never about crushing others or compromising your values for a fleeting win. It was about staying true to yourself, maintaining your integrity, and pursuing your goals with honor. While they took shortcuts, manipulated, and sabotaged, you focused on building a foundation of success that you could look back on with pride, knowing that you had stayed true to your principles. Your victory wasn't just external, it was internal. It wasn't just about what you achieved, but how you achieved it. They may have thought they won battles, but you were focused on the bigger picture. You were building a legacy not just for yourself, but for the future. A legacy built on authenticity, hard work, and resilience. Now, as they look at the results of their actions, it's clear that their success was hollow. It was built on manipulation, fear, and shortcuts. But your success, it was built on something far stronger: respect, integrity, and a path that only you could have carved. And that, my friend, is what makes your victory undeniable. Number 11, you played the long game. While they were fixated on quick wins, thinking they could rush their way to success, you saw something they couldn't: the bigger picture. Every move they made was aimed at instant gratification, gaining a little power here and there, without thinking about the long-term consequences. But you weren't in a hurry. You understood that true victory doesn't come from rushing to the finish line. It comes from strategically navigating each step along the way. While they celebrated their small, fleeting victories, you were quietly building a foundation that would outlast their every scheme. They thought they had all the time in the world, that they could manipulate the situation for as long as it suited them. But what they didn't realize was that they were already in a game they had lost the moment they underestimated you. Your patience became your strength. Instead of rushing to capitalize on every fleeting opportunity, you waited for the right moments to make your move. You knew that lasting success comes from consistency, from enduring the long haul, not from temporary triumphs. They burned through their energy and resources chasing after instant rewards, while you advanced steadily toward a greater goal. By the time they realized what was happening, the game was already over. Their hasty decisions and short-term thinking collapsed under the weight of your long-term strategy. You outlasted them, not through confrontation or brute force, but through patience, resilience, and the quiet confidence that comes from playing the long game. And in the end, that's what sealed your victory. Number 12, their tactics didn't break you. They destroyed themselves. Every manipulation, every underhanded move they made was designed to pull you down to their level. But you didn't take the bait. You stayed clean, focused, and stuck to your principles. Meanwhile, they unraveled themselves with every dirty play they made. What they didn't understand was that their tactics were a reflection of their own weakness, not your downfall. Every time they tried to undermine you, they exposed more of themselves. Their egos clouded their judgment, making them blind to the fact that they were eroding the very foundation of their so-called success. You didn't need to fight back with the same tactics they used. You simply stayed above the fray, letting their own actions speak for themselves. In the end, their dirty strategies didn't destroy you, they destroyed themselves. While they fought with lies, manipulation, and schemes, you focused on building a legacy of integrity, strategy, and resilience. You didn't need to tear them down. They did that on their own. And in the process, you stood tall, clean, and victorious. Number 13, you made your silence louder than their noise. While they created chaos, you remained still, knowing that noise doesn't equate to power. They used drama and manipulation to demand attention, thinking that volume could silence your truth. But you knew better. Instead of responding to their antics, you let your silence do the talking. Your silence wasn't passive. It was powerful. It unnerved them more than any confrontation could have. While they craved a spectacle, you stayed focused on your goals, letting your results speak for themselves. With every small victory you achieved, no matter how understated, you chipped away at the illusion of control they had built around themselves. Your quiet determination spoke louder than their noise ever could. In the end, it wasn't their noise that captured attention. It was your results. You didn't need to match their chaos. Your silence was the presence of discipline, strategy, and undeniable success. And in the face of that, their noise became meaningless. So, when they look at you now, standing tall and unwavering, all they will see is the result of their own mistakes. You didn't need to destroy them. They did that themselves. And in doing so, you proved that true power isn't about domination or manipulation. It's about knowing who you are, trusting the process, and rising above it all. You didn't just win, you outclassed them. And that, my friend, is the sweetest victory of all.